Some people say, oh, you shouldn't accept gifts for the country. My attitude is, why wouldn't I accept a gift? We're giving to everybody else. Why wouldn't I accept a gift?
Donald Trump is doing everything he possibly can to join in the exploitation of the American presidency for every billion it is worth to the Trump family. Donald Trump wants that plane so that he can have his own private 747 after he leaves the presidency. Donald Trump has already arranged for the Air Force to simply give that plane to the Trump Presidential Library. The Trump Presidential Library will obviously be a slush fund for Donald Trump's personal use. Contributions to the library surely will be solicited to pay for the jet fuel Donald Trump will use to fly himself around in that Boeing 747 for the rest of his days.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. The corruption of the Trump regime is off the charts. He is taking bribes out in the open. He's even created an infrastructure to launder them, his scam cryptocurrency. And the people around him are making billions. I am angry at what he's doing to America, at how he's attacking the most vulnerable among us, but I am ready to channel that anger. And I think now is the time for Democrats to begin talking about accountability. Because that's the one thing that scares Trump and his enablers the most. Their corrupt criminal schemes are only worth it if we let them get away with it. Sending a signal now that there will be formal investigations when Democrats take back the House, that there will be prosecutions for illegal acts, that will do a couple important things. It will keep corruption in the spotlight. This is a loser politically for Trump. And more importantly, it might just give the functionaries in Trump's government a reason to reconsider their decision to place loyalty to Trump above loyalty to the Constitution and the law. Former Republican Congressman Joe Walsh has some interesting things to say about this. In part one of my interview with him, we touched on how extreme Trump's corruption has become, like the offer of that jumbo jet from the Qatari government. In part two, we talk about accountability for that corruption. Here's our conversation.
But the anger we've got directed toward Trump, we got to keep. And I don't buy this argument that some Democrats are putting out there that we got to pick our fights and pick our battles and only talk about the price of eggs and shit like that. No, we talk about everything. We talk about this plane. We talk about everything. We talk about the threat to democracy, everything. I want Democrats, because they are the only game in town, Ken. They are the opposition party, to start acting like a fucking opposition party and be righteously angry about everything. And I don't hear that yet. They still sound too much like politicians.
I'm with you 100%. It frustrated me to no end. I mean, this news is a couple weeks old, but it's still stuck in my craw when Chuck Schumer, in response to yet another outrage from the Trump administration, said that he sent a strongly worded letter. These are not normal political times. And I think we can look for inspiration to people like the new PM of Canada, right, who came to the White House and made Trump look small. Elbows up, right? That should be our mantra down here as the resistance. Elbows up, don't give an inch.
A great example, Ken, right? Great example. Trump is a tyrant. Tyrants are bullies. All bullies are cowards. So you don't coddle or embrace a coward or a bully. You punch them in the face. There is a yearning for authenticity among American voters. It's been here for a while. It's why Trump is where he is. You and I know Trump is a bullshitter and a demagogue and a liar, but his voters think he's authentic. And there's nothing prepackaged about Trump. Democrats need to be authentic. Democrats still sound like politicians. But it goes to what you and I began with, Ken. Like, we can't normalize him. Every Democrat should be screaming about this airplane. Donald Trump's on his way to the Middle East, and all he's going to do is try to secure a bunch of business for himself. This is not normal. I need Democrats to be righteously angry about this.
Me too. It's one thing to wake people up to the threat that Donald Trump poses, to just how how embedded in his philosophy of governing and leadership corruption is. And maybe that will help us take back the country, I hope, in 26 and 28. But how do you think about accountability beyond that? Because epic crimes are being committed using the levers of government to do them. I'm not just talking about the grift now. I'm talking about eliminating due process, sending kids with cancer, U.S. citizens, overseas. I'm sure that as we dive into this, we'll see that this wasn't just inhumane and stupid. It was criminal, a lot of it. How do you think about accountability post-Trump? Because there has to be a reckoning.
Hey, Ken, that's a great question that I have not heard yet. That's a brilliant question that I have not thought about yet. You're right. The books that will be written and the articles written about just the damage that he and Elon Musk did the first 2 to 3 months, the permanent damage, and even the courts are holding, and you can't gut USAID and you can't eliminate the Department of Education, but the literal physical damage that the people that are being hurt right now. I agree. It's unconstitutional. It's illegal. And there does need to be accountability. And I think that needs to be talked about. I know for a fact, Ken, that Democrats are loath and afraid to talk about that right now because they think that's an utter turnoff to voters. And, maybe they're smarter political minds than I am. I don't know when you begin to talk about that. Do you?
I think you talk about it now because when I look at the signals being sent, there's that phrase, courage is contagious, right? So is cowardice. And the Trump administration is fundamentally made up of cowards. And if they begin to think that they might actually have to pay a price for their illegality, for what they're doing to the country and to the most vulnerable among us, they might think twice.
There's not enough men like me who do whatever they want.
Are you sick of it yet?
Those people need to be, when we take power, they need to be given the death penalty.
The anger.
Charlie. I live like a capitalist every single day, Cenk. I live as a capitalist.
The hate.
And we have a system of checks and balances. That's a good one. That's really funny. We do?
The idea that to be a man, you have to be a bully. Fuck you! We should be better than this.
Females don't have independent thought. They don't come up with anything.
Our kids deserve better than this.
It's like women want equal rights when it's convenient, but then they still want the door open for them.
So help us change it. Subscribe to Valor Media Network, where you can find shows on sports, men's health, and patriotism without the resentment and division.
True strength is about discipline, resilience, and service.
If you've wondered where all the positive role models are, especially for young men, check out Navy SEAL Dan Barkov and Commander Bobby Jones as they share stories of service and sacrifice.
Being good at being a man is about what you do for others and not what you do for yourself.
Listen to Jason Tander and co-hosts Ravi Gupta and Adisu Demisi give you the inside track on the politics of sports.
I just want to take back what I said about the Bills. No, because in all honesty, your team seems to have gotten the vaccination thing right. Okay. My team seems to be struggling with it.
These shows and many more from Valor Media Network prove that you don't have to be an asshole to connect with young men today. Subscribe to Valor Media Network today.
To me, I wish there were, and I don't want to use the word shadow government, but I wish there was a bipartisan group, an outside group right now of bipartisan leaders, Democrat and Republican, who were calling for accountability right now, who were pointing out the in real time every day the dangers and the damage that's being done right now. We don't have that outside group. And the Democrats are too dispersed, and no Democrat on Capitol Hill has the standing to talk about what's going on. We need like an outside group, I think, of real established leaders to call out for the accountability that you're talking about right now.
I could not agree more. And I'm just imagining myself it's hard to, but imagining myself as a mid-level functionary in the Trump administration, on one hand being pressured to do these horrible things and wanting to please the alpha in the White House. On the other hand, thinking about my future, my legacy, my reputation, what my kids are going to think of me 30 years from now. And in that case, accountability might actually be a democratic safeguard. Even the idea of accountability might check some of these worst impulses.
I agree with you. The only nuance I'd add is, unlike Trump 1, he has many, 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 many more true believers in his administration this time.
For sure.
These are guys who will go through that wall, not just for him, but they believe in the philosophy and the agenda of Trumpism. But you're right. Again, that doesn't mean we don't put accountability in front of them right now.
Well, I think you are alluding to, for me, what is really the nightmare scenario. And it is suggested by the lawless behavior of the people you're talking about. They don't think there will be accountability because they don't think Trumpism will ever cede power. Anyway, we got to end it there, Joe. Thank you so much. As always, keep up the good fight. And we're going to share some news real soon about a veterans rally in D.C. on June 6th. Could use your help with it. Stay tuned.
Love it. Thanks, Ken. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, Joe.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.MeidasTouch.com.